also going to share my screen. So yeah, Carlos, sorry, you are what I'm looking at. Cool.
Yep.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. See. All right, let's get this thing started then. Cool. So today's meeting is about Soulstainable. We're just going to give you sort of a rundown of our summer programs because something really beautiful happened in the last couple of years is that we've partnered with Western Colorado University to be able to offer students credit to take our course curriculum. And so all of the programs that we're going to talk about today are all eligible for college credit. So whether you're currently in high school, whether you're out of college, or whether you're currently in college, you can actually take these courses and get college credit for it. So without further ado, the first question that's going to come up with all this is who and what is Soulstainable? It's a great question. I'm glad you guys asked. We've been running trips since 2015. We started the company back in 2014. Our co-founders are on the left. That's Austin O'Brien, myself, Lee Michael Krieger, and Carlos Ramadan. We're all guides from prior backgrounds. Austin and I know each other from Outward Bound. Carlos and I know each other because he was my tour guide when I was at college in a program called International Student Volunteer. So we actually met doing similar things and have been leading trips all over the world since. So we're currently offering programs right now in Spain, Croatia, Ecuador, Peru, Costa Rica, and all over the continental US. So that's all super exciting. That sort of brings us to the next thing is like, what do we do? What is our mission? So our mission, simply put, is to leave people in places better than we found them. We do that using the place-based triangle. So the place-based triangle has 3 pillars, and those pillars are economy, ecology, and culture. And so when we arrive to a new place, we'll look at the economy, we'll look at the ecology, we'll look at the culture, and that'll help us paint a picture of what this place is, what they're about, and sort of the strengths and weaknesses. And once we understand a place, then we can start to sort of tackle that question, how do you leave people in places better than you found them? And our answer has been regenerative enterprise, right? And so a long story short, regenerative enterprise is just a way to switch the paradigm of business so that you can make it financially beneficial to leave people and places better than you found them. And so we'll talk about that in depth this summer on how do you do that? What does it look like to create a regenerative enterprise? What's an example of one? How can you make money by leaving people in places better? And so we're going to go through the 3 programs that we have this year for you in this summer. We're going to start with our first 2 that are happening in May. And the first one is Peru. So I'm going to hand this off to the guides who are actually leading this expedition. So Austin and Felipe, go ahead.
Hey everyone, my name is Felipe Proaño. I'm a rock climber and a mountain guide from Ecuador. But a few years ago, we had a very lucky chance to go on an expedition into the Rurek Valley of Peru, where we found some archaeological ruins. So our program this summer starts May 11th, ends May 27th. This is a very important time for the Peruvian summer, which gives us a good weather advantage. And the overall idea of this project is to go into the Rurek Valley and try to identify and map archaeological evidence that have not been subject to archaeological study in the past. So we went there 2018, we went there last year, we found some incredible stuff, and that brought to more questions than answers. So that means we have a lot of work to do. We will try to go every year to this valley to keep developing academia in order to answer these questions. This valley offers the opportunity for high altitude rock climbing, which is something we specialize on, and that's the other pillar of this expedition, to have a lot of fun rock climbing in Peru. These are some pictures of the stuff, the evidence of the Inca trail that exists there, pre-Hispanic Inca trail. We need to measure, we need to count, we need to map, and obviously have a lot of fun rock climbing.
The basic idea of Peru is that you are doing an expedition in the high altitude Andes. And so the adventure level on the Peru trip is quite high. The demand to be physically in shape is definitely something that is part of that trip. And it's something that you'll work on throughout the trip with acclimatization, and exploring and doing some warm-up hikes before actually camping and exploring in the high Peruvian Andes. But yeah, switching gears here, we're going to talk about Costa Rica for a second. And so while we're out there from May 15th to the 28th, it's a 2-week trip. We are going to explore what does it mean to be a regenerative enterprise and a co-op, right? The cool thing about Costa Rica is this community is a one road, 150 person community in the south central part of Costa Rica, right on the border of a national park called Chiripo. And Chiripo is the actual highest point of Costa Rica. It has their tallest mountain. And it's the backdrop to what you'll be doing out there. So you're going to be in pristine primary forest, looking at regenerative enterprise and a community that works with the land in a circular manner, allowing the earth itself to be a source of financial income. The thing that's going to make this trip a little different, if you've been on the past, is that we're actually going to go to the beach, Playa Dominical, and you're going to get to stay there for multiple days. And we're going to do some recreation within that. And so the ecotourism part is going to come at the end of the trip. We'll have surf lessons. You guys will get to go waterfall trekking. We'll do yoga. We'll hang out at the beach. And you'll get to explore a very diverse landscape. And yeah, I'm going to also hand this off to Jason, who's going to tell you a little bit about the curriculum. So go ahead, Jay.
Appreciate that. Yeah, what's really exciting about all of this curriculum for us is that we get to explore through doing. And so when we get a Q&A session later, we got some students on the line with us. You can ask them about what that's like too. But really what we're hoping for is that throughout the entire adventure part of it, we're also doing the curriculum, doing the projects, doing our assignments that we're getting credit for without really knowing that we're working towards that the whole time, right? Like we'll learn, we'll experience, we'll build. We'll do it again at a new site, learn, experience, build. And so by the time you walk away from Costa Rica, having not only played with cute dogs, cute kids, and learned what coffee production looks like along the way, but you'll also be kind of developing this thing that will also make change back home and in the communities in which we're visiting. So like this kind of like intercambio is what we really hope we're going to achieve, but also we're going to do it in a way that feels both authentic and not so much like, you know, we're here temporarily, but that we've become part of this community, it's become part of us. And that intercambio or that interchange goes much further than that week that we're out in the field. And so again, we'll tap on some former students to hear about what that's like for them, but just really exciting to think about what we'll be able to do once we're out there and then what we'll be able to continue to do once we're back.
Thank you, Jason. Yeah, so main takeaways with Costa Rica, right? Obviously, the top 2 pictures kind of show like the highlights, right? You're going to see a lot of cute animals and a lot of cute kids on this trip. You'll take a deep dive into coffee production, and you're going to explore one of the most biodiverse landscapes on the planet, which is a great segue to our next location, Ecuador. So Carlos and Brendan, I'm going to hand it off to you boys.
Hi, everyone, once again. My name is Carlos Ramadan, and yeah, I'm one of the co-founders here at Soulstainable. I'm really excited to get people to sign up for this tour and for this experience. Actually, I would rather call it that way. Mainly, we'll start our expedition, if you want to call it that, in Quito. Quito is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So then we'll go ahead and head over to Mindo, which is one of the most biologically diverse ecoregions in the country and on the planet as well, actually. Then after that, we'll go ahead and head over to Maquipocuna, which is one of the places that we're really looking to establish this regenerative enterprise. There's a lot of spectacled bears over there. Many of the people in the communities that live surrounding this family-owned reserve, which is really cool. There's rivers, there's a lot of things to see. It's green everywhere. There's lots of birds, not to mention in Mindo as well. And then after that, we will be heading over to Tangan. Tangan is another family-owned reserve where we'll be doing some nice climbing. After that, we'll go ahead and head over to Papayacta, which is known for its hot springs, and we'll have some nice relaxing time looking over the stars. Hopefully we'll have a beautiful, nice, clear night where we can gaze at the stars. And then after that, we'll head back to Quito. Really looking forward to getting people on this trip.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll hand it over to Brandon so he can continue and tell you guys a little bit more.
Hey guys, one of the instructors for Soulstainable. I've been to Ecuador twice, and that's with Soulstainable. And yeah, as being one of the most biodiverse places on the planet, we formulated two broad-based syllabus lens to look at all these places that we're going to. So the place-based triangle allows us to focus on the ecology, the economy, and the culture of an area. And we look at all those specific areas that we visit in a specific country. This local reserve in Tangan, which you see Felipe climbing here, we've put up Felipe has put up 66 routes with other fellow climbers, and it's owned by a philosopher farmer. So the places are very unique. They tell a very unique story. I think this time around we planted 85 trees. We had our first student as well, who was on this call, who came with us from Western State University. And there's a term as well that we keep throwing around that is regenerative enterprise. And it's coined by a permaculturist called Ethan Rowland from New York. So I'll just post that so everyone can kind of research that there if they'd like. But that's another one of the lenses that we look at when we go to all these different places. And so we look at what they're already doing, what can be built upon that. And I think the best case scenario after visiting all these places is just having a regenerative enterprise makeup in mind, so that you can then, with these lenses, pitch or have a different concept that will tie in, bolster, or even just add a completely new different concept to help these economies, cultures, or ecologies. So yeah, it's been very eye-opening. You learn about yourself. You learn about a lot of different sustainability concepts. My background is solar energy. I taught at NYU for 3 years as of 2015. And then soon after that, went on a Soulstainable trip, and I'm very excited to build out the program here.
Cool. Thank you, Professor Noakes. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to the next thing, right? And so how do we sign up, right? What are the next steps once you choose a program that fits your schedule and your interests? What we ask people to do is put a $500 deposit down. This will go towards your total trip cost, and it's refundable to a certain point. So you can hold your place and then not have fear if something comes up. But that allows us to sort of gauge who's interested, and then as well as book out whatever we need for transportation and accommodation. As far as specific questions or inquiries on how to sign up, or just in general, if you are interested in Peru, you're going to email AOB, like Austin O'Brien, at soulstainable.com. So yeah, go ahead and save that, write it down, take a picture of it, take a screenshot, whatever you need to do. If you have questions, or if you'd like to sign up for Peru, Austin O'Brien, AOB at soulstainable.com. That'll be your contact for that trip. If you're interested in Ecuador or Costa Rica, I'll be your contact for that. That's Lee Krieger at soulstainable.com. Remember, it's I before E. Again, do whatever you need to do to save those. And then, of course, if you leave this meeting and you're like, all right, I need all that information again, I retain none of it, you can always go to soulstainable.com. And under the education tab is going to be all three of these programs and a more in-depth look at the information, and all the facts will be on those web pages. So if you still have questions from there, you're welcome to email us. Most of you have my cell phone number. You're also welcome to reach out to Soulstainable over Instagram. We will get back to you through that. So if you have any questions pop up, if you want to share something with someone, don't hesitate. Please reach out. We'd love to help you out. And so, yeah, that sort of brings us to the next portion of this. I'd love to hear what questions are popping up for you guys. Does anybody have any questions right now? Any things they want to concern, or any concerns that they might have? Also, this is footage that I took from my expedition directly after the college students in Peru. So a little look into the high Andes over here.
Just to help get the questions flowingly, the Peru is probably a bit more physically exerting, and has more of an archaeological tangent on it, as opposed to Costa Rica, which is more cultural and focused on the commodity of the coffee plant.
Correct. Yeah, and so you kind of have, in May, you have two choices, right? There's the very adventure heavy expedition-based curriculum, right? So, the Peru trip was really designed for Western students. Western Colorado University has a very advanced outdoor program. And you know, Austin's actually a graduate of that program, which is super cool.
That was
So
it. Go
he's an
for it.
alumni.
What?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, so that is a very like labor intensive. That is going to be something that like you need a certain fitness level in order to be successful. Whereas Costa Rica, it's more like you're walking up and down the community roads. You also need some fitness level, but it's much less. And it's less of an expedition based and more of a cultural immersion program.
Yeah, I'm going to put someone on the spot. We actually have a coffee specialist who's doing her thesis capstone in coffee as well. And so, yeah, Caroline, is there anything that you're studying at the moment or delving into that would be interesting to kind of glean from whether you could make it or not on the excursion?
Thank you, Brendan.
Of course.
Well, I'll just share what my capstone is really about. It's a concept that is very similar to what you guys are trying to do with the regenerative enterprise, but also regenerative agriculture, and thinking about kind of the natural ecosystem of how you grow something, especially the coffee crop. So my focus in my research is actually comparing the idea of sun-grown coffee, which is kind of high yield, and it's how the world has transitioned into kind of consumers wanting to have as much coffee as they can. So, but comparing that to sun-grown coffee or to shade-grown coffee, which is preserving the natural ecosystem of the coffee plant. And I'm, if I go on this trip, excited to see what these co-ops are doing. I'm sure that they're very familiar with shade-grown coffee and the benefits of that, and how you can kind of create that regenerative enterprise of having the high quality crop grow from something that is giving back to the land, improving soil quality, and also improving the communities just in general livelihood. So
Not to mention the coffee flavor as well, because
exactly.
that
Yeah.
shade grown coffee we do similar with the cacao, and it really adds to the flavor of the beans. So super cool.
Amazing. Yeah, so in the nature of calling people out, we actually have 2 students on this trip who also just went on an expedition with us to Ecuador. So yeah, do we have any thoughts on sort of like what you took out of regenerative enterprise? I guess Miles, we'll start with you from a college standpoint, and then Indy, if you don't mind, as someone who's just finishing high school as well, sort of what were your 2 takeaways? Miles, we'll start with you.
A big one for me is that I am a business major and ROE is my minor. So business is something that I focus on every day. And I've always seen kind of the downsides, especially because I'm in finance and the whole money side. And so I guess one of the biggest takeaways of this was I'm not planning on like starting my own business, but if I did, like how you could do things that are better for not just yourself, but for people, culture, everything in the world. And I guess for me, like it kind of showed me like a path of where like what I want to do, and really made me realize that I want to make ROE and business come together and like show that there's a lot more in business than just money and profiting economically, but you can profit in a lot of ways. And yeah. And that was an amazing way to get college credit. That's all I have to say. That was perfect. So
Awesome. Thank you, Miles. And for those of you who don't know, ROE stands for Recreation and Outdoor Education. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Indy, talk to me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not a business major. So, but I think that like for me, regenerative enterprise, like it was a way to learn about a place, like learning about the 8 forms of capital, it like, it's there's so many different lenses through which you can view a place, right? What's the material capital here? What's the spiritual, what's the financial, what's the living capital? And so I think that it's just like, especially in a place where you don't speak the language, or it's like very much so a culture shock, I think it's a cool way to kind of break down locations and really like get to the base of it and learn a lot about it, through that.
Cool. Awesome, brother. Thank you. Sweet. Do we have any other questions in the group? Cool. Well,
Solid.
yeah. Any closing thoughts, remarks, anything?
Yeah, just sorry I got cut off earlier.
I'll plug.
But oh, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say for a closing remark that I'll plug Soulstainable till the day I die. So everyone should go on trips.
Yeah.
Nice, Miles.
We
That's
love that,
what's
Miles.
up.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Miles.
Fantastic.
Yeah, hey, Miles, Feely will be in town in Gunnison next week. So spread the love. But yeah,
I know he told me that's
as-
so cool.
It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, I guess that goes with anyone who's been on our trip and they agree with what we're doing. I think it's important. I think it's really cool. And I think it's a different way of learning. So, the more people that we expose to this, whether you go on trip or talking about it, whatever the case is, I do think it's a very powerful message. So yeah, I'm going to leave with that. And thanks for everyone for being on this call. It's really, really cool to see that there's, 15 participants who are interested in Soulstainable. It's always refreshing. So thank you.
Is there an age limit on the trips?
So for these ones, we're asking, like if you're finishing high school to being graduated with college, so somewhere between like 17 and 26 is our ideal range. We have other trips for other age demographics. But somewhere if you want to come, we'd love to have you. So yeah.
That's right. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so just to move on from this point, if anybody has any questions, you want to find out more information about anything, again, those emails were aob@soulstainable.com and leekrieger@soulstainable.com. Please feel free to message us about whatever. Carlos is also a great resource. Carlos is Carlos Ramadan at soulstainable.com. So if you guys need anything, please reach out. And please keep in mind, you don't necessarily have to take these for credit, right? If you want to build in sort of like an internship or a way in which you can come onto the Soulstainable team and make it more about like getting a job or next steps, whatever your life is taking you towards the business world, right? Maybe there's a way in which we can build that in as well. So, we're open to any and all facets of having people on these trips. And, like we just want to start from the heart, so to speak, and, leave people in places better than we found them. And so that's the mission. And you guys are included in that. And so, we hope you come on these trips and sort of, get to live out that philosophy. And if anything comes up, please message us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Just want to say thank you, guys. Thank you.
Super cool, guys.
Thank
Love
you.
Thank you, guys. Any questions, please holler.
Thanks, guys.
Yes,
So good to
drop
see
us
you
a
guys.
line if you guys have any questions.
Cheers.
Come join the
Thank you, everyone.
family.
Yeah. Later, y'all.
See you guys.